I mean, it's not that I want to disrespect her.
No.
It's about how I say it. I know I have my shortcomings. When I go into something wherein I don't agree, I'm very strong-headed and I just shut my doors and I don't want to listen back. Okay, I do want to do that once I'm like chilled out. Okay, fine. Now you tell me what are your issues. But with my mother, I'm very vocal.
Is it because you feel that you're more comfortable and because you're not going to lose that relationship, it's easier to be vocal with her?
I think it's because okay, good thing and bad. It's like it goes hand in hand. Her personality is such that I know she will not care.
Right.
You understand?
So therefore you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yes. So you
So
can
I feel
be
like
yourself.
मैं जो भी बोलूंगी, she's gonna be like, okay, fine. Okay. But then that's not what I don't like that though in her. So although I'm taking advantage of that part,
I like that.
I'm actually talking to her about this part only. When I go back and tell her something, because I go with whatever I have in my mind, whatever volume I have for her when I talk to her, if I want to raise my volume or something, which I should not be doing because I would not like to be talked like that by my daughter. But I do that. But a part of me is like, okay, fine, she'll be fine. She'll come back. She would not even care. And that's exactly what happened. She doesn't care.
So in a way, you are taking advantage of something that you don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah. And I tell her the same thing. I was like, do you understand why I talk to you like this? This is the reason I talk to you like this. Because I'm trying to explain you, Mama, this is now how world works. People walk over you. And I literally walked over you last night. And you're still here and standing in front of me. So I take my example too. It's not that I don't, I know what I'm doing. I know if I'm wrong, I have my husband also to back up and tell me, Nivi, you were wrong. You crossed your line there. And I do understand it at times. But I also take that same example, I bring it back to her. I was like, okay, fine, you don't want to listen about anybody else. Don't listen about anybody else. Okay? Just listen about what I did with you.
Does that help your relationship with your mother?
I don't think so. I think she's so saint that she doesn't care. That is the sad part. That I feel.
But don't you think there is an advantage in the fact that she is like that your relationship never really sours with your mother because your mother doesn't allow it?
It's not even strong because we don't agree on our relationships with other people because she would not agree to it. So she would not even care to disagree also or agree also.
But you want that. You want her to agree or disagree with how you feel about other people.
Other people, if I feel they are affecting her or my brother.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Is this a role that you have taken up in your life where you feel that you're responsible for your brother who is younger than you and your mom who now you have to take care of under the circumstances?
Yeah, I think it goes back to that because a few years ago we lost my dad and my dad was a practical person, so I got my practicality from him. He was the one who was guiding them, I would say, when he was alive, and now he's not there. So I feel like there's nobody to guide them.
Hold that thought. I have a follow-up question. My follow-up question, and this might not be a very congenial question for you, but we're here to have a very clear conversation. Did you assume the role of your father's responsibilities and behaviors towards your family without them asking you to take it up?
Yeah.
Why?
I know people would walk over them.
So what would happen if you back up, if you just back off?
That's what I've done now.
What would happen to them, you think?
I have given up because I think I was pushing too hard, and in all that I was losing my very good relationship with my brother and my mother, which I still have.
I'm just going to ask you my way of looking at things. Do you think if you were the older son and not the daughter,
things would have been different?
What do you think?
Could be. That's how Indian society is. It could have been different, for sure.
Do you think if your brother was older than you, instead of you being older, and he would have been telling you or trying to assume the role that your father had, you would accept him in that role?
I don't know. I have not seen my brother any different than my mother, rather.
Very interesting.
Yeah, they're so similar that, I mean, the only difference what is there in them is that he is like Gen Z. So, not Gen Z, is it? Yeah, he's Gen Z.
It's probably Gen Z.
Yeah, he's Gen Z. So we connect in that side, like on that side. And because of that, I like him more over than my mother, because he is still...
he's also your sibling.
And not in that, he still listens to it. He still tries to, absorb. He tries to make changes in him. But my mother doesn't want to do that at all.
At a certain point of time,
age also.
People, give up on changing.
Exactly. I totally give that to her, but that's why I've given up now.
But do you think that your dogged concentration on making a change in your mom is leading you anywhere? Like, is that giving you any kind of satisfaction? Is it?
It's not. It's not. That's why I stopped.
So you have stopped entirely?
I have stopped entirely. It's her relationship. If she's happy, I'm okay with it. If she gets walked over, it's on her. I'm not doing anything. She's an adult. She's 60 plus. She knows what she's doing in her life. And if that's the way it is going on, it's going on. It affects me. It bothers me when it flows from her to my brother. And then I have a separate conversation with him, but I never have that conversation with my mother. I've stopped that conversation path with her. I was like, it's not going to help because she's not going to change. I still have some hope with my brother. So I would rather have that side of conversation.
So you're still trying to change your brother? Is that what it is?
Not change. I just try to bring another perspective in his life. Because my mother is a very big part of his life. Okay. So he gets all his perspectives from her, and I don't agree to her perspectives whatsoever. So to bring just another second perspective in his life is like, I think, okay, fine, I can do that. I still have that channel open. I still have some hope there. So I just give him my side of perspective, and I was like, okay, fine, now it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But I've stopped my, expectations. I don't have any expectations back from him now.
So, Nivi, I believe that we are a sum of our experiences. Off camera, you and I were talking about relationships and friendships and sharing, and we were talking about mental health.
Yeah.
So tell me, where do you think that is coming? All of that is, what experiences are bringing you?
I think it's all the childhood experiences. It just adds on. Like since childhood, how your family setup is, you are getting compared with your cousins, with your siblings. Okay, so it piles on. And then you move into your teenage life and you get exposure from the outer world. You start earning. Okay, I started earning at a very young age. When I say young age, it's not young age as per Canadian thing, but back in India, I started earning when I was first year in my college, and I started.
That's young in India.
Yeah, and I got my first car from my own money.
That's amazing.
From down payment to anything, and I was the only child in the house. So for me, that was like the biggest victory. I was like, I was compared my entire life, my childhood, and now I am setting a standard for others to be compared to. Okay, so it was like always a competition. I always felt that was a competition. It was never about where I was happy. It was always about competition. It was always about that. And that all came from the parents, from the mother in this case. Although her intentions were not wrong, it can never be wrong. Mother can never have wrong intentions for the parents, for the kids. But it was not conveyed. Communication is a very big key, and Indian parents don't communicate well. They don't use the words. They do their actions, and they just let it be, and then it's upon you how you take those actions.
What kind of words do you feel were missing? Do you not believe you had that?
No, because the communication was never there, right? I never asked the question. We were just given things, and I never asked the question. So I wish my mother explained me the way I explained it to her.
Have you asked your mother about any of this later on in life?
Yes, but that was too late. I always had bitter experiences by then. I always, I had made those, in my mind that no, this person is not this person does this. So I think it was way too late for that. And I was already in the trap of competition by that time. It was too late. Yeah, but I don't want to set the same example for my kids. So I don't want to be too late in that. That's why I always keep my communication channel very open with them.
But do you think that the environment that they're in right now and the environment that you grew up in were so completely different, that it's night and day, that your relationship, especially when we come to countries that are outside of India, and there could be any countries, we don't have the privilege of having, they say it takes a village to bring a child up.
Yeah.
We don't have the privilege of that village, right?
Don't.
So we are single-handedly working towards bringing our children up.
Yeah.
So that relationship has a different, it just has a different feel to it than it did when we were back home. Because back home, anybody around the neighborhood and anybody in your house had full right on you.
Oh, yeah.
They would have the right to comment. They would have the right to feed. They would have the right to object. They would have the right to impose. Like, everybody has that right.
But that's too many. So that's the problem, because there are too many. It's confusion in your head because there's so many opinions. There's so many things. What do you listen? Which is the right thing? What do you take from it? What are the good things? What are the bad things? I think that was an issue. It creates confusion for yourself.
Is that the reason why you said when we were a little bit off camera that you overshared?
Yeah. So I get that from my mother. I get that from my mom. And I hate that part of myself. Because when I start talking, I overshare and it bites back in my butt. It has happened with me a lot of times. And now I try not to share.
With family? Or?
Yes, with family, with friends, with family, even at work. Yeah, so it has happened in all the areas I'm in. And I feel that, as much as I hate one part of my mother, I'm a reflection of that part itself.
Is that why you feel like you rebel so much against her? Because you believe that the parts that you don't like, you have, and you cannot manage?
Yeah, that's true. You got it right. That's true. But I'm trying to work on it. It's always about
trying to work on it. How are you trying to work on it? Tell me that.
How I'm trying to work on it. There's this saying, khali time shaitan ka ghar hota hai.
Khali dimag shaitan ka ghar hota hai, yes.
So when I moved to Canada 7 years ago, I had no friends, nothing. I think I started very late in this country because there's a certain age when you can make good friends, right? Because by the time you're in your adulthood, like in your 30s, everybody has their own friend circle and it's harder to intervene into it,
infiltrate. I would say it's hard to infiltrate,
to get and make your own space.
Yes.
So when I came here, I would say I was very like I was open book, sharing and everything. And then I made a lot of friends and I love those friends. However, later in stage, when we started growing as family, having kids, and then few of your friends fall from that bucket, they left you.
That always happens.
That always happens. And then postpartum hits you, and then you put your career on hold. There's so many things happening in your life. You're going through so many hormonal changes and everything. And then you start, you don't see those things separately. Then you start seeing them all together.
Yes.
Right? So that all started happening. And then I got to know that my father was diagnosed with cancer. I lost him. And then my mother got the PR. And I was like, okay, fine. She's going to come and live with me. And that's when I thought that there was a need to change. Now, how do I change? Okay? Because a part of what I don't like in her is in me too, which is oversharing. And because of that, I was getting burned out in a lot of other relationships. And I was like, I'm telling her the same thing, but I'm doing the same thing. Like, how am I different? So I was like, okay, fine. She does mama side. So I was literally like, okay, fine. I have to do this. Mama. She doesn't want to hear what I feel or what my opinions are for relationships. I'm not going to talk about it. I've given up on that. She's 60. She is adult. She's lived her life. She has more experiences. let her be. I'm not going to go there. How she affects my brother, I still have some chance to, tell him this is right, this is wrong. And then it's up to him. He's also an adult. He can take his calls. He's married man now. So that's my second. This is how I deal. The third was friends. We spoke about this when we were off camera. Onion layers. I heard somebody using onion as a reference to having your friends, in layers. Your core and your layer, and then your second layer and third layer. I never believed in one. That's why I got burnt. Because for me, all friends are same. And I'm very vocal when it comes to that. Okay? And I'm possessive when it comes to my friends.
Okay.
So for me, I did not understand the concept of onion layers. And when I went through the onion layer concept, I was like, oh, I am not the same for everyone. I fall in one of the layers. What do I do now? Okay, fine. So that was the third change I had to make. I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to introduce onion layer in my life. I'm going to be one of them. It's the social pressure. It's the peer pressure around you. Everybody is doing it. Okay, this is the way world is living. I'm going to do this. Change that. Then consequences of onion layers. I lost my friends in between in those layers, right? Because I divided them around. I lost them, but now I don't have anybody to talk to my heart, open up myself.
So you couldn't find anybody that could fit into your core
exactly layer. Because I think I was way too late.
Do you think this is really? Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah. Because by the time
you couldn't make the space for yourself, truly?
Because Radha, now I was trying to also work around the other side of me, which I used to use to make my space, which is opening up too soon. So now I'm holding on to that.
Wow.
Now how do I make my space? Because I'm holding on to that. How do I make my space? I was missing out on my friends. I cannot talk to my mama because we don't agree. My brother, he's just like my husband. I don't want to know what's happening. Boys don't care, right? My husband doesn't care. What do I do now? Too much time, postpartum hit again. I was like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna, you know what? I don't want time. That's when I started doing business. Then, okay, fine. Who do I talk to now? I don't have any core friends left with me. My husband. Okay, let's talk to my husband. He doesn't want to listen to anything. And then it was affecting my life. It was affecting us. And then I was like, okay, fine. This is too much. I want to use my empty space time into something creative, which I love doing. That's why the business came in the picture. And then I was like, okay, fine. I was hoping to make more friends. I can use this platform to also make more friends. So that's how things started. And that's where I am now. So I am social now. I'm a very introvert person. I don't like social gatherings a lot. But I still do that because it's peer pressure, because it's the need of finding like-minded people, more like-minded people. And how do I get there? The only way to get there is either you go to a sport together, that's what I've learned, or go to social parties together, you meet people there, or you go to gym, maybe you'll meet people there. So these are the only way you can find a new set of people. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Or work.
Which is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Business.
Yeah.
Which is allowing you to spread your wings a little bit and create a network.
Yeah. And not only create a network, also to know people. Because I think right now I'm in a process of finding myself, a new myself. So I try to understand, I want to know other people too. Because I want to see, good or bad, you want to take this as, I want to see what people like. I'm falling in the trap of what people are wanting.
Okay.
What are people wanting? What are their likes? What do they like in their friend circle? What are they doing?
Is that to adapt your behaviors towards that so that you are able to be more social?
Yeah.
Human being need of social acceptance and social circles is intrinsic. We are built to be in groups. We're not meant to be one-off island person people. Just and women, I think, and I call it the female effect. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have.
The idea of women coming together and being friends and having a part of their lives shared with shared experiences, kind of why we are here. I decided that we needed to have these conversations is to be able to bring you in and have meaningful things where you could just speak your mind and not be judged and not be held accountable for.
I don't care about being judged. I've left that thing way long back. In 2007 is when I left.
Did you care about being judged because you thought that validated who you are, and now it doesn't matter to you because you are self-validated?
That's right. I cared up until I was in school, because I was always compared. There was always comparison.
So there was an identity crisis that needed to validate. This is Nivi. Nivedita is this person, and that is who she needs to be known as. So if you're judging me, that goes against the core of that. So I cared about this. Don't judge me. And now you're like, please go ahead.
Judge me.
This is Nivi.
I don't care.
It's very cool. To come to this point, I think it's very difficult for women in social structures to come to a conclusion where they believe that they are self-sufficient enough, like self-love is good enough, and people that they value them back, like the people that they most value them back. And you have the MVP situation where you have that status in your house and in your life that you be confident in moving forward in circles that you may or may not have ever moved before.
I think it comes from my husband, Jitesh.
That's wonderful.
When I saw him carrying that character skit of his personality off so well, and he was so content and happy, I was like, this is worth adapting.
I'm going to ask you a very controversial question in this conversation right now. You look at your husband and you see that he's content and that he has a confident personality, that he carries and gives no shit about anything. Yet you look at your mother who does the same thing in her own way and you don't like that.
So he doesn't let anybody take advantage of him. Okay?
So that's the difference.
That's the difference. He would do anything and everything for his family. When it comes to his family, it is just me and his kids.